A former Marlborough teacher has admitted a list of sexual misconduct charges with school students. The offending was serious enough for a judge to impose the first strike under 3 strikes law when he convicted the 37-year-old after she pleaded guilty in the Blenheim District Court today. The woman, whose name is suppressed to protect the victims, admitted 7 charges of sexual relations with minors and 2 charges of sending sexual material to minors. Our Nelson-Marlborough reporter Tracy Neal was in court today in Blenheim. And just a warning, some of the material is graphic. I asked her what we found out today about the woman's offending, and here she is.
Well, because of today's guilty plea, we've only heard the police summary, which was a fairly lurid account of the woman's offending, the impact on the victims, and but not really any of the background on this woman and her life. It began a couple of years ago as a text relationship with one student who was under 16 at the time. Now, this boy spent his lunchtimes with the woman. They then built up what was described in court today as a relationship of trust. That's the police prosecutor's description, the summary of a facts description. The woman then invited the student for a drive in her car. She became emotional and started talking about her mental health problems and that she needed someone to talk to. So it went from there to a relationship of a sexual nature. So she performed oral sex on him, asked if he'd had sex before, but he avoided the question, saying he had to get back to town. Now, at this point, she told him not to say anything. So they met on several more occasions over the next year, and the boy believed they were in a relationship. And from there, it moved on to her taking explicit photographs of herself. She'd send them to the boy through social media platforms, Snapchat, or video call the boy through FaceTime. Near the end of last year, the boy invited another boy to a group chat online with the woman. They talked about sexual matters, which from that point on sparked a series of illicit rendezvous with these students.
So how would you describe the woman in court today?
She moved between appearing deeply ashamed to having very little expression at all, really, but there was certainly nothing extreme in her reactions, although it was clearly difficult at times for her to hear out loud the details of the charges against her.
And what happens next?
Well, Judge David Ruth convicted the woman and she's been remanded on bail for sentencing in December. So her lawyer, Jonathan Eaton QC, says the woman's mental health needs to be assessed before sentencing. So Judge Ruth said the woman is now also subject to the 3-strike law given the seriousness of the offending. But he's also allowed the option of restorative justice to be explored, so that remains to be seen.
Our reporter Tracy Neal there.